Hi, my name is Anna-Lisse, and for some background, I graduated from Ball State with my bachelor's in social work in May of this year. And about 2 months ago, I decided to take a position as an ongoing case manager with the Indiana Department of Child Services in LaPorte County, which is the county that I'm from. And reading this piece, I was not, when I saw the title Uprooting White Supremacy, I really did not expect this. I thought that all these things were normal, like just part of life, and I guess in a way they are, but I never thought of these things as components of white supremacy. And excuse me if I'm looking at it as I'm talking. Um, but yeah, I just started about 2 months ago with the Department of Child Services, and I can say that all of these things I face on a daily basis, all day, every day, even on the weekends when I'm not working. I'm still thinking about how I feel like all these things are failures that I do. Um, and when I started my job, they knew about 4 months prior that I was coming to their office because I had interned in a very rural community. Our office only had 8 of us, including myself. And it was a very big culture shock. It was all white. There was not even 12,000 people in the county. You had to drive very far to get everywhere. And they were really nice there, and it was so slow paced. It was great. You could really take time to have bonds with the clients. And I didn't do the traditional form of training that we do with DCS, which is called cohort. And you go to Indianapolis for in-person classes, and you learn about policy. You learn about the right way to do things. There really is no right way. I think to be a case manager, I think it just depends on the family that you're working with and their needs. But I didn't get to do that because I did my internship, and due to some really serious family and personal issues, my internship was a lot shorter than most. So I was only there for like 3.5 months. So with that being said, I go into this job in LaPorte County, and they didn't have anything for me on the first day. I already knew they set me up for failure. I didn't have a cubicle, didn't have equipment. I didn't even have access to the system where we're supposed to input our notes, which it's really important to put in your notes when you work for a government agency. But I did have a trainer, and I'm like, okay, we're good. It's great. Not even 2 weeks in, my trainer put in her 2 weeks and said that she was getting a different job. And my trainer was one of the longest standing employees there, one of the longest standing family case managers at least. She was there for almost 3 years, and the turnover rate is insane in our county, so that's a long time. And she had some of the hardest cases, some of the longest standing cases. I think the shortest one that she's had is like a year, and that's a long time. That's a lot to learn, and it's hard to make that connection as a new caseworker. So what they decided to do, instead of giving me a new trainer, which I asked for, they said, well, how about you just take her cases? So I end up, I go from 0 to 20 kids on my caseload, and the expectations were so high. And the worst part was that she did not do her job, like, at all. There were things that were so overdue, things that had to be filed with the court, visits, child family team meetings. There was 2 girls who hadn't been seen in over 100 days. So I basically was being pushed nonstop to do all these things that I didn't even know you had to do. I didn't know what was required when you're managing cases, because I was so new to this, and the county I was in before did things completely different, and there was a much smaller caseload. So they pushed and pushed, and I just was like, just give me a month and I will catch up on everything. Just send me a list of all the things that are overdue, and I will get it done in a month. So I did. I go to management and I'm like, hey, I think I'm out of the red on everything, because that's what they call it. You're in the red if you're not meeting the status quo. If you're not meeting the deadlines, like father engagement, mother engagement, visiting with the children, it's a lot. There's a lot that goes into being an ongoing case manager, and I have no idea how people do it. But I told them, I think I got everything. And he looked and he's like, no, you still have to file this document with the court. instead of being like, good job, that's great, you know, you did this in under a month. It's like, no, you got to do this. And I'm like, all right, fine, whatever, I'm going to work even harder. So then with the families that I got, you know, on my caseload, and after meeting them and talking to them, they're like, the communication was terrible. This caseworker never came out to see us. You know, she would ignore our texts and emails and calls. So I decided, all right, fine. With the families, I only have to see them, like most of them, like once a month, but I'll do bi-weekly or weekly. You know, I'll keep my phone on at night. I'll make sure that they know that they have someone who genuinely cares about their case and who's going to advocate for them and who knows the case well. And then I get told, you're spending too long in the field. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, you're spending over an hour at these houses. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to get the family's story. I'm trying to, you know, figure out what their needs are. I'm bonding with the children, you know, like playing with them, and then also taking time to meet with the parents or the current placement on the side out of the children's earshot so we can talk about the more serious things. And they're like, well, you just need enough for a contact note. And I'm like, I feel like it's more important to talk to them, you know, and it's like, no, you know, you need to create boundaries. Like, you know, you need to just do what's due, essentially. You do things so then they're in before the deadlines. And what was it? I believe it was the worship of the written word. That really hit with DCS, like thinking about that. But there was just, you know, it's like the things that went well in these cases, they think that it stems from the former case manager, but any mistakes are on me. And some mistakes are on me, and I completely own that, you know, and I'm okay with that. And when I've tried to explain how, you know, I feel like I've lacked training, I've even asked to go into Indy and do these trainings. I'm like, I'll do it. You know, I don't even care if it extends my contract that I signed, like, I'll do it. And then I get laughed at. And I'm like, well, you know, I don't understand how you think I'm going to be able to do this job if I'm not trained properly. And I'm like, and I'm also not being paid anymore, even though I'm one of the only people in this office who has a social work degree, and you're not letting me get overtime. And like, even tonight, I got home not even an hour ago. Like, I was at a client's house at 8:00 because I was trying to go around their work schedule, you know, and it's just like, I get shut down or ignored when those things come up. So, I mean, like I said, a lot of these things are just very, very, like, they hit, especially being in the first 2 months of my employment with the agency. And I'm not saying DCS is bad overall. And I absolutely love my job. I really, really love my job. My favorite part of my job is working with the clients. I love seeing their growth. And I feel like it's a privilege to be a part of their lives at such difficult times and being the one to advocate for them. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. But I definitely think that the management and the agency as a whole needs to be changed. And I think my questions regarding the piece, you know, reading it just makes me try to see, you know, management and like the agency and like an Indy where they make all the policies and stuff, trying to see these people as people. Like, and I mean, they are people, but see them as individuals and wonder, you know, where did they start from? Like, did they go into this field wanting to help people? And like, did they work in the field? You know, and I know like the supervisors and managers at my job did. And I'm like, what was that switch from being so people oriented and wanting to help clients to bossing around and poorly managing your workers who are trying to do what you used to do? I wonder where that transition happened and what made it happen and what makes this happen for most people that get in positions of power. Like, when do they believe that they have more power, and why do they try to execute it over people that are just trying to be people? I mean, it's all our first time living. It's all our first time learning. And I just, you know, I wonder how we can humanize things like this more. You know, and not just seeing things as the status quo or, you know, you're not good enough, like seeing people as people. And I just don't know how, you know, with organizations and as a society overall, how we make that change. But yeah, I apologize for that being a bit of a rant. Like I said, I just got home from work. I've been working late every night. That's why I'm just now doing this assignment. But, thank you so much for watching my video and for listening to me and my experience, and I can't wait to watch your guys's. Bye.